Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. It's Friday. It's a long weekend for me. The 4th of July is, of course, on Tuesday, and the governor has given us Monday off. So as a state employee, I get to enjoy a long weekend, which will be exciting because I'm alone. And Malia went to her family's house this weekend, so I'm here by myself. I'm alone today. I think my kid's gonna come tonight, like late tonight, and then the youngest has scout camp starting Sunday, so we'll have a day to goof off, and then I'll ship them off to scout camp on Sunday. But so. How many times now in 2.5 years, just 2 years, I've been working on Rival Rails, my two-player train game, for 2 years now. I don't know how many times I've said it's done, but I think it's done. I think that I playtested it this week with the most recent set of changes. I'm very, very happy with it. And I think systematically it's done, meaning that I'm happy with the way cards work. I'm happy with the way the board works. I'm happy with the way the locomotives work. I'm happy with the amount of locomotives, the number of turns that players take, the special powers I've created. I'm happy with all of that. The economy might be tweaked a little bit further, but overall that's just messing with numbers to make everything. This playtest decided to try something. Well, we decided to go pretty dramatic, in that you make a whole bunch of money up front, and then you start making less money as the game goes on, which is fine. Like that's honestly how a new market works. Like when the market is new and fresh, everybody's making a ton of money, and by the end they're not. And so the game doesn't outstay that, because it could have gotten to a point where you're not making enough money to cover expenses, and then if the game got to that point, it wouldn't be fun. So I'm happy with where it is. I'm very, very happy with it. And it just needs a little tweaking. So it's not done, but I think that it's done. In my head, right? It's done living up here and taking up space. And interestingly, a game that So my full intention after finishing this game, or after saying, I'm done with development on Rival Rails, now it's time to find a publisher, or time to maybe seek self-publishing or kickstarting or whatever. My goal was to go back to the Viking game. So 2 years ago, I pitched the Viking game at Gen Con to a couple publishers, got some really valuable feedback. I thought I was pretty proud of it, but the publishers pointed out some serious flaws that were just like, oh yeah. So my intention was to go back and work on that again, but I don't think that's going to be the case right now. My brain switched to thinking about a game that I started in 2017 or maybe 2016. The files that I found, I had to go through old hard drives last night. The files that I found said I last worked on it in 2017. So I'm thinking it was started in 2016, but maybe 2017 is correct. It's a game that was about colonizing. My initial name for the prototype was simply Mars. Like, I was writing the Terraforming Mars, First Martians. Like, there was a whole bunch of Mars games, Pocket Mars, and there was another Mars game that came out at that time. I was writing that whole wave and thinking that I wanted to do like a space colonization game, and I wanted to keep it compact. So a smaller number of components, shorter playtime, but have a lot of interesting decisions. And it kind of worked. It had some interesting decisions. Like, I honestly think it was a pretty decent thing. But much like the Viking game, it had this dice mechanic where you roll dice to see what you get, and you have dice modifiers. And I've been so stuck on this dice game thing for so freaking long. Like 25 years I've been trying to make a dice game work, and I still haven't figured it out. And so I scrapped that prototype and just put it, like, that was at that point where my life was falling apart, and then Malia came into my life a year later, and I put design aside for a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, and I just never went back to it. And I thought it's not a good game. And when we were cleaning the basement out years ago, I threw it away. Like I threw the prototype away and said I'm done. This past Origins, I picked up a game called Earth. We've talked about it. We've played it 3 times this week, and it has kicked off that design again. Because in Earth, you have this little tableau of 4x4 that you're building into, and the tableau, the organization of your tableau matters, because a lot of the scoring cards will be things like having columns where each card is a different type, or scoring points for each mushroom in a row, or whatever. My game, I guess it had some of that, but the main thing that my game had, if you've played, my game was somewhat inspired by the not Borderlands, the Fallout Shelter. If you played that like on mobile or whatever, the idea of the tableau was, mine was 2 deep and 6 wide, and cards had to be placed next to compatible things, meaning that you couldn't put agriculture next to a manufacturing facility. Like those didn't go together. And you could get bonuses if you put habitats next to agriculture. Like there was synergy in the way that you played things. So when you took cards, you had to really think about how they fit into your colony. And then I had this worker placement mechanic, which I like. I think it's going to stay. It was one of my favorite parts of the game. But I'm going to throw away the dice, and I'm going to just try to do that spatial puzzle of, I need science buildings, but in order to have science buildings, each one needs to have habitat to support it, and to have extra habitats, I need to have more food, or I need to have more, yeah. So I think I'm going to start working on that. It's been stuck in my head for a few days now. Enough that I went and purchased a SATA to USB little converter so that I could look at my old hard drives, find the old files. I found the old files, I loaded them up. I went and immediately just like, nope, I'm going to start from scratch because I don't want that influence. I think I had some interesting ideas then, but the interesting part about this design is I'm just going to pick and choose from games that I like and put them all together. I'm going to have kind of a Imperial Settlers starting board, not really, but it's my new version will be a 3 high tableau, however wide you want to make it. It's up to you. Like, you're going to play cards and it's going to spread. So it's going to have that Imperial Settlers feel because you're going to have the starting strip, but that starting strip is going to be made up of 3 cards that you pick from in the beginning, kind of like a starting corporation with Terraforming Mars, or like in Earth, you have 3 starting cards that will define your game. So I'm going to pick and choose bits and pieces like that. Worker placement stuff, kind of like Agricola, or really Stone Age, like, send 2 people over here, get an extra guy. Now you have to pay food for him, and so I'm just going to borrow from lots of things and see what I can come up with, and I'm excited to give that a shot. So I think that's going to be next. I think that I'm not that I'm over Rivalry Else, but I'm really happy with it. And if I can find a developer who wants to continue working with me on it to kind of make it better, that's fine. Or it's just a game that'll exist as it is, and my friends and I will play it, and maybe we'll make tweaks and changes through that process. I don't know, but it's interesting that this old prototype popped back into my head. And it's definitely interesting because every time I go to game night, which is very infrequently, one of the guys there asks, like, do you still work? Are you still working on that game where you had the colony? And I keep saying no. I guess now I'll be able to say, yeah, I am. Let's give it a shot. So, what do you got going on this weekend? You doing anything exciting? The most exciting thing I'm doing is I'm cooking curry tonight. Malia doesn't really like Indian curry. She likes Thai curry, but not Indian curry. So without her here, I can cook for me. And I'm going to cook a whole bunch of Indian curry and have that for dinner and then lunch tomorrow. That's exciting, right? That's very exciting. What do you got going on? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is renunciation. It is a noun meaning to distance yourself from a position or belief, to publicly state a shift in ideals or position on an issue while criticizing your past stance as wrong. With renunciation, life begins. And Amelia E. Barr, a British novelist. Renunciation. Renunciation. That's a good word. And, I think it's an important part of growth to renunciate things that you once held true and you have learned better. I mean, what that lady said.